Hello and welcome to Default Assault, where we take on everything by default, and tonight we'll be taking on the topic of the Justice League. One of our earliest reviews, and probably one of our most viewed videos. The Justice League, let's just say, didn't hit the notes that we were possibly hoping for, especially after Batman vs. Superman, which was a tremendous disappointment for me at the very least. Real quick, before we dive into the news that just hit, what were your thoughts on Justice League?
You know, the fact that that video is one of our ones that got a lot of views in our anthology there, what I'm inspired to be reminded of is the fact that members of the higher part of the court used to find it fashionable to watch, certain kings in their kingdoms have bowel movements. So I guess I could see the appeal from that point of view, but I remember Justice League being exactly what I thought it was, a mashed together, rushed thing that was going to flop entirely, which it definitely did. I also, in fairness, remember it for what I think is the coolest moment in the movie, when the Flash tries to zip behind Superman in that whole Matrix slow motion concept. Superman's eye starts to curl back just a bit, and the Flash is like, oh, damn it. That was interesting.
If there's one scene from that movie that people still praise, it's probably that one, and for good reason. Now, in the years since Justice League came out, there have been waves and waves of stories out there that there is a Zack Snyder cut. Now, for those that don't know, Zack Snyder, the director of Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, was directing Justice League, but due to a family tragedy, he had to bow out mid-production, and Joss Whedon was brought in, defecting from the MCU to the DCEU, and cleaned it up. And if you compare the original trailers to the finished product, there is a big distinction, even to the point of Zack Snyder's dark skies versus Joss Whedon's bright pinkish red skies. So a lot of people have been clamoring for the Zack Snyder cut, and finally, unsurprisingly, it's official. Not only does, and this according to Dark Horizons, does the Snyder cut of Justice League exist, but it's coming to the HBO Max streaming service. Reports of Snyder screening his cut of Justice League to DC execs back in February emerged following a long campaign by #ReleaseTheSnyderCut supporters who have been barraging HBO Max with requests for them to release the film in the years since the theatrical cut of Justice League hit cinemas. Specifically, Snyder says it will be an entirely new thing, and especially talking to those who have seen the release movie, a new experience. Drink up, Kyle. Apart from that movie, you probably saw 1/4 of what I did. His producing partner, Deborah Snyder, adds, you can't release something like this theatrically, but you could with a streaming service. It's an opportunity that wasn't there 2 years ago, to be honest. What do you think, Kyle? Are you excited by the possibility of an improved, possibly, Justice League?
Here's the thing from my perspective is I'm going to quote the great and wise Peter Griffin. Who the hell cares? Like, what are you going to do? Oh, it's so much better, so much missing, so much. Oh, it wasn't honest. I saw a fourth of the movie. What the can you actually do? Are you Mickey Fireballing kidding me? No, there's no way. There is no way. Now, that all being said, my dumb ass is probably going to watch it because, comic book movies. But no, actually, we all know the real reason, and their names are Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot. Let's be clear. My wife and I like watching movies with those two in it. I don't know why. Why is that? Does anybody know? I can't think of a single fireball of a reason.
Well, the released film it really did feel like two different films fighting each other for existence, mustache gate notwithstanding. I never felt like I wanted to condemn Justice League as much as I wanted to condemn Batman v Superman, despite the fact that Batman v Superman was much more streamlined in its release. But I do find it kind of funny that now we will have two Superman properties that have had famous directorial battles where two alternate cuts of the same film will be released. In the first case, we had the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2, which was restrung together and released a number of years ago. Famously, Superman 2 was co-opted and redirected by Richard Lester due to studio issues. And now we're kind of seeing that with this Superman film, where we have two different versions of the same film from two dueling directors coming out. It's a fascinating study, if anything else. But given what we've seen in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, at the best I can say, hopefully the optimistic side of me says it might be a little bit better. By that particular point, you're just proving the Mythbusters correct in the fact that you can possibly polish a turd.
I'll put it this way, my friend. That reasoning you gave is a lot better than what I come up with. Because when you say the Snyder Cut, all I see is Zack Snyder with a pair of clippers pointing at Henry Cavill's face. I'm just saying.
That wasn't their fault, to be honest, but it's still... it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
I can tell you, whoever thought that mustache on Henry Cavill was a good idea is the problem.
Well, the thing was that they were, after they completed filming, well, they thought they had completed filming Justice League, Cavill went on and started filming Mission Impossible, where his character sported the mustache, and then they called him back for reshoots. Paramount would not let Cavill shave his mustache, so Justice League was forced to CGI his mustache. It's not that it couldn't be done, but it was so rushed. The better the TV you have, the worse it's going to look.
Right. And
Buzz Lightyear had more realistic lip movements.
I appreciate all of that, Demos. That's not what I'm making fun of. Whoever thought Henry Cavill wearing a mustache is a good plan, as it's something that looks normal, as in it's something that should be done? I'm blaming the Mission Impossible staff. They're idiots. That's the dumbest damn thing I saw. You want to know what the biggest thing about that Mission Impossible trailer was for me? Oh, God, you put a mustache on him? It looks awful.
The mustache didn't bother me in Mission Impossible. His character has a mustache. His character has a mustache. If anything, I think I know one of the reasons they may have done it. I mean, Mission Impossible stars a black-haired Fitz secret agent. Henry Cavill played a black-haired Fitz secret agent. It's a distinguishing factor.
Listen, when they had the Prince from Ever After in Mission Impossible 2, one of the worst movies I ever viewed in my entire life, he didn't have facial hair. That garbage-ass movie knew better than to put a mustache on that pretty man. I'm just saying.
And Mission Impossible 2 had one of the most forgettable villains. I do agree. It's definitely the worst of the Mission Impossible films, which for me greatly improved Mission Impossible 4 thereon. I know they're making 7 and 8 back-to-back. And so we will be covering, we've talked about this for a while, that we will be covering the Mission Impossible films one by one. That's coming. But getting back to the Justice League Snyder Cut. So you say that despite your feelings towards the concept, that you would be inclined to give it a watch.
I mean, yeah, because quarantine, right?
Would you be inclined to give it a watch enough to sign, and this is the big factor here, enough to sign up for a new streaming service?
No.
Then there's your answer, because that's the whole point of this, is to get people to sign up for HBO Max. The request for this Snyder Cut have been very, very adamant online, but I wonder if it's strong enough, if these people who have been clamoring for it are diligent, or should I say passionate enough to sign up for a new streaming service to watch it, or are they going to pirate it?
See, here's the thing. In fairness, in terms of comic book lore, the DC nerds have a point, okay? People talking about how Marvel is better than DC is a lot like saying One Direction's better than the Beatles. I get that. But the problem is, y'all got your butts kicked at the box office, and DC fanboys just can't handle that. That's the whole reason we have a Snyder Cut. It's just the ultimate in DC fanboy delusion that it's just going to be saved because of Zack Snyder. Listen, I get it. Batman's a cool character. Just take one of the 75,000 movies that are out there about him, and possibly the ones they're going to make, although I find it interesting that Cedric Diggory is too good to work out for the role, but I digress. Fine. You like Superman as a hero. I liked Man of Steel. You fanboys couldn't handle the fact that he faced some reality. Okay, whatever. That's on you. No one's complaining about Wonder Woman. And hey, we got a good movie out of Aquaman. I was shocked too. I'm a little Yeah, we didn't get to talk about the one because of our schedules and stuff, but yeah.
At the very least, it was Julie Andrews' best film in the last few years.
What the hell did you just do, Demos?
Julie Andrews voices one of the characters in that film. And Aquaman, featuring casting with Julie Andrews, came out the exact same day as Mary Poppins Returns, when she refused to appear in.
I mean, she had better to do, apparently.
I think DC gets a lot of hate. You got to think back to film history. When it came to the 80s and the 90s, when it came to box office, when it came to big films that were released, DC ruled. Then the double whammy of X-Men and Spider-Man, Marvel took the baton. And then we had the Dark Knight trilogy, and for a temporary time, DC took the throne back. And then we had the colossal MCU, and yeah, it's a big plateau. I get it, but the quality, it's DC will have its day again. I don't think it's gonna have its day with this alternate cut, but I think it will have its day again.
I don't think you're ever going to see a continuity universe with DC. That's what I'm telling you.
I honestly think that going forward, I'm pretty sure it's become kind of evident that most of the films coming out are going to be branching off into their own worlds. Joker does not belong in the storyline that started with Man of Steel. It's a separate film. What's going on with Harley Quinn? I hope that's a separate timeline, because that was a crap film. But we'll see. I don't think MCU is going to be king of the comic book film industry for forever. We may be seeing the first signs that it's on its way down. Who knows? I'm optimistic that they will all succeed.
Spider-Man Far From Home did a good job of setting the table for anything that could rise again. However, when you're stuck with Brie Larson for 5 movies and you've only done 2 of them, yeah.
If there's one property from the MCU I'm actually excited about for the future, it's still Doctor Strange.
I was about to say, they still have Tom Holland and they still have Cumberbatch. So there you go.
Yeah. So I don't think I would be... I'm not interested enough to sign up for a subscription service to watch it. Although I still think from an analysis point of view, it'll be interesting to check it out, but not for that price. For me, at least.